So, you know, Colorado is famous for having 360 days of sunshine. And I'd like to explain why, in spite of the clouds we've been having, that today is still one of those days. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Michael Yaron. I'm a friend of the Walshes, and I'm also an emergency room doctor. What I have to say is a bit slanted from the physician's perspective, so look out. But first, a serious note. I got a phone call 2 nights ago when Kathy fell. Jim asked me to help them find the best care that they could in town. So I made a couple of phone calls, only to find out that the ortho doc on call was really one of the best we have, and clearly from the best group in town. So I knew that I didn't have anything to really worry about because she was in great hands. And I just want to say that our heart goes out to Kathy for everything that she's had to endure. But the good news, it's a tiny bit of sunshine, is that from a doc's perspective, her injury is fixable, and she's going to be fine. Yeah. The timing was bad, but she was lucky because it's fixable, and she's going to be fine. So I've been a friend of Carol and Jim's since long before their children. Jim and I have held each other on our ropes for several decades. We've been old climbing buddies, and the people you climb with, you get to know really well. You find out a lot about them. And being a doctor comes with a particular privilege of also getting to know people particularly well. It's kind of like a special inside view of people. For example, I've seen them all naked. In Carol's case, she may never admit to it, but we did go skinny dipping together in the 70s.
Ow!
Now, Jim, of course, would admit to it in a second. Well, by the way, that was before I went to medical school. In Annie's case, I remember holding Annie in my arms shortly after she was born. Over the years, Annie's benefited from her loving family, from the lessons she's learned, from the adventures and risks that they've taken together, and from the friends that she's made. And now she's grown into this fabulous woman that sits here before you. If you're hanging out with Annie, it doesn't take long to see that she's smart, hardworking, caring, and devoted. Tony's a lucky man to have found his love with Annie. I need to tell you about the first time I heard about Tony. Carol invited us over for dinner, and we asked how Annie was doing, and they said, oh, she's doing great in school, and she's doing great in her work, and, well, by the way, she seems to be falling for this guy in Boston. And Carol said, Michael, we really, really like this guy. And his name is Tony. And he wants to be a doctor. And he wants to do his residency in your hospital. Can you put in a good word for him? Well, I'm a professor in the residency program, too, at the medical center, so I asked around, and I immediately realized that Tony didn't need my help at all. The program clearly wanted him, and he did it all by himself.
Woo. Tony! Tony!
Of course, At that point, I became interested in Tony. Being an ER doc gives you a special inside view of doctors, too, not just your friends and your patients. At University Hospital, when we admit a patient to the hospital, Tony's team comes down to the ER, and we discuss the case together. We come up with a plan, and then we transfer the care of the patient from us to Tony. So I've worked with Tony many, many times. There's been lots and lots of patients that we've admitted to the hospital over these years. I've seen Tony grow from a baby intern when he used to say yes sir a lot to now being almost done with his residency and all sorts of exciting plans for the future. But the most important thing is it's clear to me, you know, when you're a senior doc, you kind of get a quick sense of other docs and what they're like and what kind of people they are. And it's clear that Tony, both as a doctor and as a person, is smart, hardworking, kind, caring, and devoted. And Annie's a lucky woman to have found her love with Tony.
Ooh, yes. Yes.
So, despite our clouds, the sun shines on all of us today. It's because Annie and Tony are married.
Woo!
They are the sun shining in the lives of their family and friends. Here's to a happy and healthy life together.
Cheers!